Hello and welcome to episode 65 of Tangents Entertained. We are the London buses of podcasts, none for ages and then two coming along at once. So we're back in the new year. Happy to welcome you back. I'm with Alex. Hello, Alex.
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Happy New Year, mate, even though it's end of January.
Yeah, thank you. Is it ever too late to say Happy New Year?
No, it's never too late to be happy and nice. That's fine.
That's fair.
And we've got John. Hello, John.
Hello. We have entered the Chinese Lunar New Year recently.
Oh, have we?
That's what it was. We were all waiting for that. Year of the Pig.
Yes, Year of the Pig, is it? Excellent. I did not know that. That's going to be a good trivia question for one of my pub quiz next month as well. What year is it? Right. Anyway, so we're back and we've had a bit of a winter break and had Christmas and everything. Hope you're all well. We're going to be chatting mainly about DC releases today. So we're going to be talking about Reign of Superman that has come out today, a DC animated movie. And then we'll be talking Aquaman that come out over Christmas. And then we'll also chat about things to watch over Christmas and things that are coming up, blah, blah, blah. So we'll start with Reign of Superman. So this is the sequel to Death of Superman that come out last year. Non-spoiler, Superman dies when he fights Doomsday. In this adaptation of a fabled comic series from 1993. So I will stop talking and let someone else come in. So basically, guys, the start of this is... Well, actually, let's talk about non-spoilery thoughts first, and then we'll do a disclaimer, and then we'll go spoilery. So, Alex, what did you think of the animated movie?
So I need to be clear that I haven't seen Superman versus Batman, so I haven't seen it, and
that's okay.
I did know that Superman had died, so I got that.
Hold on, I'm confused. That film that came out the film with Henry Cavill.
There's nothing confirmed to this.
Hold on. Is that not? That's not. I didn't think that was connected to this cartoon.
It's not. No.
But no, Superman dies in that, does he?
Yes. So
I think you remember that.
But they do link to it.
I do think you remember him dying.
Yeah. So what happened in '93? There was this Death of Superman storyline, which was adapted in the first animated movie that came out September of last year, and the Batman Superman movie. Dawn of Justice that came out about 3 years ago, they use elements of that storyline in that film. So the fight with Doomsday in that in Dawn of Justice, Batman versus Superman, and that Superman dies in the film of Henry Cavill, that happens in the comics.
So I feel like I just haven't done my homework this time.
Oh, look, I've got everything. I've reread the book. I've got notes and everything.
You know what? I didn't
do my homework. Mark, you're a good boy. Alex, you're a bad boy.
I know.
That's okay.
That said, I could get up to speed on it really easily. So I kind of felt like the introduction was quite clear, and it does give you a little bit of a preamble and sets the scene, and you kind of drop into it pretty easily. So.
I think for the first one, he says a big fight and then he dies, and then this is what happens afterwards. That's
I'm the biggest DC sort of noob of all three of us, and I may have asked Mark on the private message, not Mark, sorry, Paul, a couple of private messages what the hell was going on, and he was like, just wait to watch, John. It'll all become clear. So I'll bring that into my review later on. But I quite enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did enjoy. I have to say,
I enjoyed it. I'll tell you why later on, but I quite enjoyed it.
As someone who's read the comic and read it when it first came out and has got copies of it as well, I really enjoyed this. It makes some changes to the comic story, which is fair enough. We can talk about that when we get into spoilers as well. And I think the changes it makes are probably for the best, considering this is a 90-minute movie as well. And it is fairly faithful to it as well. I think the voice work is really good. We'll talk about the characters and the way they interact. What I will say for DC in the animated movies is the animation's always really good. It always looks really, really fantastic, and this is no exception. I think this looks beautiful. This one, they've really done well with this one. And
I think it's quite a contrast to other films that have come out recently, like Spider-Verse. But yes. I think it's almost, to me, it felt almost retro style, if that makes sense. And I quite like that because it kind of more felt in sort of in touch with the early Action comic days of just sort of the slightly more comic book rather than film style animation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and look of it is actually quite faithful to the 93 comic that come out as well. So the way that they've done the characters and the way they look is very similar, and very faithful to the art of that time as well, which is good.
And this didn't have the same budget as Spider-Man.
No, true. That's very true.
Kind of, it's a bit unfair.
You can't compare. You can't compare.
But actually, it didn't fall. It didn't feel bad about that. I kind of enjoy. I just once I started watching it, I just got sucked into the story. So that's what you're meant to do. So
yeah. So we'll just go into, unless anybody wants to say anything else, we'll just go into spoilers straight away. I think probably the way to do it. So if you've not watched it yet and you want to watch it first and then come back, please do, because we'll be going spoilers in 3, 2, 1, and now. So as we said, this kicks off after Superman dies, and then what happens at the start of this is that we see 4 Supermen appear who all sort of look like they could be Superman reborn as well. So we have there's a cyborg Superman who is part man, part machine.
That's what cyborg means, definitely.
Yes. Thank you for that. Then there's the Spider-Man. There's the Superman with glasses who with specs on. Then there's Superboy, who insists on being called Superman. And then there is Steel as well. And they all appear probably right at the same time, really, don't they? So this is where it deviates from the comic. At the start of this, there's like a Lex Corp award ceremony where Lex introduces Superboy to the world. It sort of happens in the comic, but not at the start as well. It's a bit further on down. There's an attack, and then this is where the Supermen appear. What I liked about this is that it didn't give anything away at first. It does, so it doesn't tell you who each person is yet. It gives you the idea that perhaps they could be one of Superman, or they could be related to Superman as well, which I quite like that.
Yeah, no, it's thing is, it sets up the scene really nicely, doesn't it?
So it kind of it does, like each scene, they each get their opportunity to save the day, don't they, as well? So each one swoops in and saves and does that part, and it makes you try and think of who they are.
Well, I mean, as I said before the podcast, chaps, being a complete newbie to the DC, especially the Superman plot, I had to sit down with my encyclopedia of DC characters and look them all up, which I found quite interesting because it gave me a bit of backstory. And they're actually called Superboy, Steel, Cyborg, Superman, and the Eradicator.
Yeah,
I had to learn that because obviously I didn't recognize them. I think in a way I'm lucky that I can go into this completely new to it. For me, everything was a complete surprise, so that was interesting. Over to you. That's all I've said so far. Carry on.
I mean, what I thought about is I talked about the voice cast and what's good about it. What this also does, I think, is it gives Lois Lane quite a good narrative. So it kind of deviates and changes from always being saved by a Superman. She's quite the investigator in this. She's investigating the 4 Supermen, isn't she? She's trying to work out if one of them is Superman, and she's sort of dubious as to who they are. And I quite like that they did that as well. So they also another thing which I thought was really good was the scene with her and Clark and Superman's parents as well when they come and visit. I thought that was a really sort of good scene. I thought that was really nice and heartfelt, and that is something in the comic that is done as well. So in between the death of Superman and the reign of Supermen, there's also the world without Superman, which they don't cover in this. So the world without Superman is how the world adjusts after he dies. So what they redo here is they fast forward 6 months to the Supermen, so they leave that bit out, which is fair enough because I think it would just be too slow if they included that as well.
You kind of get that in the intro, don't you? They kind of show the world.
You get an idea of the way it is. Yeah. So that was quite good. But yeah, I did like the way they did the Lois and the parents. I thought that was really good, actually.
I thought Lois's relationship with Diana was quite nice as well.
Yes, because in this continuity, Superman and Wonder Woman had previously been an item, and they sort of broke up, it ended, and now he's Loris as well. So the idea is that, is that they both dated him, which is quite good, and that leads to some good interactions.
Comparing notes, essentially, aren't they?
Yeah,
yeah.
You're comparing notes. I think that gives the voice cast a chance to talk about it as well. Because the interesting thing is that Superman is played by Jerry O'Connell, who was in Sliders. I don't know if you guys used to watch Sliders in the 90s.
Sliders, the young guy from Sliders.
Yeah,
I know her. Yeah.
That's a cracking series.
And his wife in real life is Rebecca Romijn, and she is the voice of Lois Lane in this as well.
Isn't she?
She's Mystique
in the movies.
Yes, Mystique. Yeah. So they've got like a real life husband and wife team for Superman and Lois. I think it's quite a nice
cool
way of doing it. Yeah, cool way of doing it as well. I thought that was quite good. I seem to be talking quite a lot as well, so I'll pass it over. So I'm just curious. I'm speaking, Alex. Anything you want to?
No, you're doing really well. I think the main thing is for me. I just I enjoyed the plot. I thought that it was quite a big. So you've talked a bit about the setup, and you've talked about Superboy and the 4 Supermen,
yes,
being unveiled, and then obviously we've gone on to Lois and Diana, and there's it's a fanfic. There's lots of fanfics about Lois Lane and Diana.
There is.
So I've got
there's some proper weirdos on the internet, Alex. So I know what you're saying.
They're just
goodness sake.
If they're on Twitter, I've probably followed them. So, but you try finding them back on Twitter a few days ago, and I'm like, you try finding that, impossible, because it's not actually in the right order anymore. But anyway, so when I see some fanfic stuff, I'll send you a link so you can see it. But I love the dynamic between them, so I really enjoyed that. It was quite interesting, and obviously it's harked back to later in the film without giving too much away. So I really enjoyed that. What happens next, Mark? So we've got that far, and then
so what happens then is after they're kind of introduced and the world sort of realizes who they all are, the cyborg Superman saves the president. Don't know if you can see it. Saves on the plane, and then he's declared the real Superman dude. Back, the main one out of the 4 back. Yeah.
Was that before or after he goes and sees Lois and says, "I'm your baby. I'm your man. Remember me?"
I think that is before. Yeah, sorry. Right. Yeah, that is before. Yeah, so they have a moment. So she has a moment with all of them, doesn't she, as well? So she kind of speaks to all of them. Yeah. And the idea being that like all 4 of these are supposed to be a part of Superman. So obviously the cyborg Superman is supposed to be Superman. Steel is like his noble side of him. Superboy is like his younger side, like his playful side, his
impulsive side.
Yeah, and then the Eradicator is what he could be if he doesn't have like a conscience. You know, it's like the Eradicator is sort of like a Superman.
I never thought that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, the idea is Eradicator is sort of like what if Superman was Dirty Harry? I think
it's cold and motionless.
Cold and motionless. Yeah, kills
shades of grey.
Yeah, he kills people, doesn't have remorse or empathy as well. So I thought that was interesting. That's one of my little drawbacks, is that I don't think we get enough Eradicator, which is a shame. He's much more prominent in the comics as well, and we'll go on about plot wise about that. So I thought that was a little bit of a shame that he was kind of a little bit sidelined. In regards to the plot, so the cyborg rescues the president, and then he's declared like the main Superman. This is where it deviates a lot from the comic. So he then if you remember, there's a presentation, isn't there? And he makes that young boy from the crowd a superhero because
that's right.
Yeah, so that is in this. So that has nothing to do with the comic. That is something that they've created new for this. Okay. So in the comic, that doesn't happen at all. So all of that when when everyone becomes the hero and they take that, is it a pill they take or it's like a thing he gives them, doesn't he? And
no,
they all become.
You've got like something on the chest.
Yeah, oh, it's chest. That was it. The chest. Sorry.
Yeah. And
yes,
and then it just sort of once you have that, then it just absorbs.
Turns you into basically Tron, doesn't it? Basically.
Well,
yeah, a little bit.
What I thought was interesting about that is that it's a big deviation from the comic, but it reminded me a lot of V. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah.
It reminded me of V. So when the humans like start wearing like the V outfits in V, if you guys seen V at all?
Yeah, the original series, yeah.
Yeah, original series, yeah. And I watched a remake from a few years ago. It kind of gave me a V vibe, John. I don't know if you agree with that at all.
I suppose the vibe you get from it is these sort of unwitting fools being sort of their bodies being usurped by the overlords.
Yeah. He's basically taken over by stealth, isn't he, really? He's like his face is saying, like I'm a good guy, but deep down he's doing nefarious means. And I thought that was interesting. That
it's kind of an allegory of the American political situation right now as well, really, isn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, it's a fair point. So that's a major deviation from it. And also, what they do cleverly is that, again, in the comic, they don't have the Justice League in it. So the Justice League in the comic are still badly injured from fighting Doomsday, but and there's no. So Batman, Lantern, Wonder Woman, etc. are in the comic, but they're not really a focal part of the story. So what they do in these animated films, they have to try and get rid of them, so they're not in it as much. So they get transported, don't they? Everyone thinks they've been killed.
In a scene almost reminiscent of the scene from Teen Titans Go to the Movies, I thought.
Yes, when they're all transported away and everyone thinks they've been killed. Yeah,
it's quite funny. I expect them to see what those dudes, the men from the edge of nowhere, what they're called. They're called the really old retro heroes that were in that. I expect to see them pop up or watch sitting there with. I've got the wrong franchise, haven't I? I think that's Marvel, isn't it? Anyway, but it's DC. I'm right, isn't it? It's DC.
Yeah, DC's Titans.
Yeah. I thought so. Yeah. Look at that. Anyway, I just felt like I was just like that scene from Teen Titans. I thought, nice crossover. Well done. Anyway,
so I thought that was.
I'm here all week, folks.
That's all right. I'm looking forward to the Marvel versus DC crossover now that John's going to write. Brilliant. But I thought that was quite clever because what they do is they we don't really have a lot for these heroes to do, and they have to be out of the picture for his plan to work. So we'll get rid of them for half the film, which I think is fair enough, really. Because there's just
otherwise it'd be just a repeat of Justice League, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and there's just so many characters that you've got to try and accommodate, and you've got 4 new characters that you want to give time to. Plus, you've got all the usual heroes as well. So I think what they do is fair enough there. They kind of part them for most of the film, and then I guess after that, it's revealed that Cyborg Superman is really Hank Henshaw, who is in the first film. If you guys watched the first film,
no.
So so in this version, Hank Henshaw is a scientist. And him and his wife and his colleagues are on like a it's not a space rocket. Which when they're in the I like the base. Like in what do you call it in space? If we go like to
space station.
Space station. Thank you. So there's an accident because of Doomsday comes in, and Hank Henshaw thinks Superman will save them, but he doesn't because he's too busy fighting Doomsday, and they will
blame him, basically. They'll blame him for that.
And he blames him for death of his wife,
Hence his motivation to be a baddie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I see.
And again, that sort of is different from the comic. So Hank Henshaw is a character who's been in the comics for quite a long time. So in the comic, when it's revealed that it's him, that's actually quite a big shock because it was the first time that he'd come back in comics for a very, very long time. But I think the reason they but I think it's clever the way they've done it is we had that scene in the first film when they all killed on the space station. You think he's gone, and they bring him back here. So that's quite clever, I thought. And the way they rewrit that from the comic is also very clever.
I mean, do you feel that in that respect, this film is definitely one for the fans to follow more than?
I think it definitely is. I think what they've done recently, if you look at the films that they've done recently, so they've kind of done the reign of so done like the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman arc. They also released so Gotham by Gaslight that come out start of last year.
Is that a Victoriana style thing? Is it?
Yeah, what it is that in the 80s and 90s, DC did a series called Elseworlds. So basically, what they did is that these were non-continuity stories. So they basically did like, what if Batman was in Victorian London, which is what that is, what Gotham Gaslight is. It's a Victorian era Batman. They also did a one where Batman's a pirate in pirate times, so Long John Silver.
Well, it's a bit like Batman Ninja as well, I suppose, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And they did Batman Ninja as well. So, so they've been focusing, and they also did The Killing Joke a couple of years ago as well. They're also releasing, there's some others coming out this year as well. So Batman Hush is coming out this year, and also Superman, also Justice League versus the Fearsome Five. So what they've done in recent years is, instead of doing original stories, they've adapted a lot of the fans' favorite comic books, which I think is actually quite a good idea, because I think people have wanted to see those films as animated films. As a live action has kind of done its own thing as well. So I like what they've done that, and they are definitely making stuff at the moment which is for the fans, which I quite like that.
It's good.
It's good to watch. It's very good to watch.
Yeah.
It's just I think for me, I wish I was more ingrained in the backstory in the universe. So I'm a bit more of a casual.
Does it not
DC
inspire
follower.
though, Alex, to get into that and look at the other films? Because I'm quite intrigued.
That's a bit.
Yeah.
For me, I think it makes me want to rewatch some of the other animated ones, and I think it's just a question of like focus, really. There's so many things going on at the moment, but I think for me, this is one where it's like, actually you forget that DC's a bit richer than you perhaps give it credit for. So so it's kind of worth another look.
Yeah, I mean, it does show you what, and I hate to mention the M word, but it does show you what the Marvel movies have done for the Marvel franchise, and the good press from the films bleeds into the comics and so on, and the consciousness of those films seems a bit more prevalent. So I think that's what DC are trying to do, perhaps, is maybe get the same thing happening for their franchises as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, really, because you would say that the DC animated films, they've all been really, really positively received. I don't think there's been a couple ones that have been so, but generally they've been really, really great. And the live action has been a bit of a mixed bag, I think. Whereas Marvel's animated stuff actually hasn't been very good. The animated movies haven't been particularly good, but obviously the live action have just been absolutely out as well. So it's a nice little sort of like contradiction between them both as well.
Mark, are there any other DC live action films that you could persuade me to watch that have come out recently?
So I think if you want an introduction to the characters,
I mean, any DC films, maybe to do with water. I don't know. I feel like I'm
oh, should we move on? Okay.
I haven't seen any recent ones, but is there any you could perhaps persuade me to watch that might help me more? Invest in you.
Let's wrap this up, and then we'll
get into that. Yeah. If you are keen to get into the DC animated films and want to watch one, so the one that I'd recommend is Justice League War, and that came out a few years back, and that is about the formation of the Justice League. And so what happened in the comics is they did a reboot of the comics called the New 52. You may or may not have heard of that as well. And there was there was a Justice League Origins book that came out. It's by Jeff Johns, who is now oversees a lot of the DC films, so he wrote that, and that is an animated movie on that. So if you want to start from anywhere, Justice League War is probably a good way to start. And then
came out in 2014.
Yeah, so after you watch that one, you can then probably get into all the others, and that probably helps you as well.
Okay.
I mean, with reference to the Reign of Superman, I mean, again, we ought to wrap up our feelings on that.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the twist in it. I enjoyed learning who the four Supermen were. I was still quite confused by Eradicator by the end. Essentially, he's like a mean Cortana,
so he's an instrument of so he's basically of Kryptonian. He's Kryptonian technology, and his sole purpose is to preserve Kryptonian life or the legacy of Krypton as much as he can. So what happens is that after Superman dies, he is the Fortress of Solitude.
Like a sentinel.
Yes, really. he releases him, he rescues Superman's body, and then puts him in that chamber that you see in the cartoon.
Like a sort of
for him to
DNA
regenerate.
recompiler, is it?
Yeah, sort of thing as well.
Okay.
And then what happens is that he isn't supposed to be a Superman. So what happens again in the comic is that he basically retrieves Superman's body, puts him in that chamber for a certain energy to restore him. But a part of Superman's DNA goes into the Eradicator, and that's how he becomes and that's how he becomes one Superman who's not supposed to be.
Right.
That's how he's created as well. So yes, but it doesn't go into depth in that in the film. He's basically just seen as a piece of technology that is there to help.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I like I say, I enjoyed the unraveling of who they were and the twists. I enjoyed Diana and Lois's relationship. I quite like the ending. Really, I quite like the sort of the embrace in front of the sunshine as basically Lois. She basically plugged Clark into a big power socket and charge him up again so he could win the day. I mean, I thought that was all very satisfying. Yeah, I quite the only thing that I thought about the film was I was sort of about a third of the way through. My wife walked in and said, "Oh yeah, what are you watching?" I said, "Oh, it's a Superman film." Oh, the kids are like watching this. And I thought, yeah, but then I looked at some of the scenes. There's like blood on the faces, and all the drones at the end don't survive; they die. There's no like nice PG sort of wrap up. It's actually, despite it being quite a bright, colourful cartoon, it's quite a dark story, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be appropriate for children. Really, what's the rating on it?
No, it is. I've got it to hand. It's a 12.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's kind of the right age
watch it
for
by
it
the
as
way.
well.
I watched it on my own, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's their target audience at the moment. I think you talked about like the Teen Titans Go movie and that sort of thing. I think
different thing entirely, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that market, like the kids market, is quite stock because they've got that. They've done the Legion of Superheroes before, so they've got like the kiddie market. I like the kid market marks out quite well with a lot of animated stuff as well. I think the animated movies have always been aimed at a little bit older than that. So like your teenagers,
the comic fans and things, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad idea. So it's good that these animated films kind of cater for the older fan or the teenager fans upwards, and a lot of the younger stuff obviously caters for the kids as well. But yeah, I wouldn't show this to anyone under 10 person. I think it's a bit too adult. I think.
Yeah,
it's a bit weighty. So I think overall we can say that we recommend it, and it's definitely worth a watch. So yeah, and if you like, obviously if you like the comic and you like, it's a no-brainer if you like that stuff as well. So we talked animated, so we should talk about not real life, but we'll talk about in the flesh, because in last month Aquaman was released with Jason Momoa. It's made over $1 billion. It's made over $1 billion at the box office. It has now made more money than The Dark Knight. It is it's the most successful ever DC movie now.
What, more than Wonder Woman?
Yeah, more than Wonder Woman. It's done more than Wonder. Wow. It's done more than Batman, Superman. It's done more than all of Nolan's Dark Knight films as well.
Wow!
It is by far the most profitable.
So this is the first stage of you persuading me to watch it. It's been very successful. Some really bad films can make lots of money. So tell me more. Why should I watch this?
So I think we should just say now that, again, if you haven't seen it, we will just go straight into spoilers and Aquaman straight away.
I haven't seen it, so
you haven't seen it, so you're going to hear it a little bit, I suppose. We'll try and be as less spoilers as we can.
Yeah.
If I was to, Alex, I don't know if you agree with this. If you was going to pitch this to John, I would say it's sort of like an ocean version of Thor Ragnarok, with a kind of bit of a 90s action film, Michael Bay sort of thing to it. Would you agree with that, or am I wrong?
So is it like Thor meets The Last Mermaid?
It's
I'm sold if that's what it is.
I mean, it's been compared lots of Thor, which I think is a little bit unfair, but you can't help it, I think.
I can see why you said that. I mean, obviously,
here's why you shouldn't have.
Yeah, I can understand that, because obviously, Jason Momoa without his top, doing a lot of stuff that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely sold on that as well.
It's
very enjoyable. Man.
Yes.
But yeah, so I can kind of
get
that.
All my Game of Thrones really, so.
And I also agree with the Michael Bay references, particularly.
It's a little bit sleazy as well, then, isn't it?
No, it's not sleazy.
No.
It's just it feels very actiony.
Yes.
And so there's a lot happens during it, and you do feel like you're being carried along with the ride a bit. Which you should do because it's an action film, but like there is a story.
Is it like
there is a
being
plot.
slapped in the face by a three-pronged spear?
No, not slapped, but just like spun at you. So if it's spun at you,
it's been impaled.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sorry, carry on. Don't interrupt you.
I mean, I would just say, Alex,
like Mark says.
Sorry. It's also got a bit of an Indiana Jones stroke Romancing the Stone vibe to it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, cool. It's done a really good job of kind of mainstreaming it with introduce. What I like about it, and we'll go into a bit more detail, but what I like about it is that it presumes that you haven't got any prior knowledge, and so it kind of just spells everything out. But you never feel like you're being sort of lectured to, or it's actually just like, oh, what you mean this? Yeah.
And there's no sort of wink to the camera. You're the elite fans that know what's going on, but no one else will.
No, it doesn't feel that way. I mean that, for me anyway. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've seen it twice, and I'll talk about that a bit more later on. But so I think if you haven't seen it, then stop what you're doing, go outside, go to the cinema, watch it. But we'll talk about it a bit more because why not?
I do agree with what you say. What it does is that it does bring to the comic base. So if you do know a lot about these characters and about that world, obviously, that like I do, it does do a little wink. It makes it very like it's on the nose for the comic fans. But also, what is good about it as well is that, as you said, you don't need to have watched the other animated films, the other DC Universe films, to watch this. So if you haven't seen Justice League, for example, you don't really need to see Justice League to enjoy this. They reference a couple of things from Justice League, don't they, Alex, as well?
Sorry, it's the latest, the new Justice League film.
The one that came out in 17 with Affleck and Cavill and everyone else. So it does mention a couple of bits of that in passing. But is
that set before or after Aquaman? Help me out here.
Aquaman is set after what happens in Justice League. So
so it's best, if you are going to watch it, it's best to watch that before you go and see it anyway, just in case.
I mean, if you want to see Justice League before, it's handy, but you don't
can,
need to.
But you don't have to. And what I'd say is that like one of the things that put me off of Justice League was the darker nature of Justice League and Batman vs Superman, whereas Aquaman is not dark. Like lots of stuff happens, but it's not a dark film. It's a lot lighter than that. And that for me was a really big, strong point in it. Was it didn't feel like, oh, hang on, we're going to do some serious stuff now. We're DC.
Sure.
It was actually come along for the ride instead, and that really helped it for me personally.
That's good.
I feel like we should talk about the look. I don't know if you've seen the trailers, John, for it as well. I mean,
it's very colourful, isn't it?
Yeah, Atlantis looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they've done an absolutely stunning job of that. I have to say, it looks absolutely brilliant. Like, they released the Oscar nominations out. This didn't get anything for art direction or anything visual effect. I think it might have got a visual effects maybe as well, but it didn't get a lot for art direction or anything like that, which is a real shame because it looks absolutely fantastic.
Got nominated for visual effects recently, so maybe
I think Black Panther got nominated for it as well. But it looks absolutely stunning. Like what they have done is that they have, it's an old cliche, but they've spent every dollar on the screen. Like there is nothing here that is not, like, everything is excess, isn't it? Everything is big. Everything, they've put everything into this that you could.
Well, okay. Does that help the story though? I mean, you can have flashy special effects, and the film can still be a.
I mean, what it does. I mean, it starts very like close to the comic. So what happens is that there's a lighthouse keeper, and he is just doing his he's walking by his lighthouse, and then he sees Nicole Kidman on.
Well, lucky him.
I know, yeah.
Very.
Merry Christmas.
Was she filming nearby? Was she something? Or
no, she's not filming him. No, she's unconscious though. So she's basically swept. Yeah. So basically, she's has been swept ashore, and he looks after her, and it soon becomes evident that she is not, human. She's come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they begin to fall in love, and they have a child. And then there is, Alex, the first action scene's fantastic, really, isn't it, as well? So we get we don't know who these guys are first, but we know that they're after Nicole Kidman. And then Nicole Kidman absolutely kicks ass, doesn't she, as well? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Just to pause, I mean, you're using words like Michael Bay in action. Well, my concern is, is this quite a fatuous film? Is it all action and special effects? And the story itself, how do you feel about the story?
So I think,
really?
Yeah, there is to it. So
I think the thing with the special effects is they're not done as at the sacrifice of story.
Okay.
So what it does is it just gives you a richness that you didn't really think you needed, but when you go into it, you end up going, no, everything's really well done and everything's well thought through, and it makes you kind of ask more questions. It's like the detail that there's a big fight scene in Atlantis, for example, and the detail you're going, wow, I want to find out about that. That sounds really cool.
So the effects sort of help with the world building.
They're really credible. They're really credible, and
right.
But like even that first fight scene with Nicole Kidman, even that she's playing Queen Atlanna, and because it's really sharp. All of the fight scene, there's lots of shooting and stuff. It's really well choreographed, and so all of a sudden you're just you're drawn into it,
you're rooting for them.
And I think that's the thing, is that kind of the balance of action and story here, is done really well.
And
I think that's kind of to give you a bit of an idea. I watched this twice actually in Cineworld in their ScreenX presentation, which is basically they've got screen at the front and then two screens at the side that project that project some of the.
So you get like a sort of super wide.
So you get like a wrap around.
Is that continuous?
270 degrees.
Kind of. Yeah. Okay.
It's really. It's a bit odd because you've got edges, but
right.
Because it's it's a bit odd. Because like you've got one wall and then you've got two walls, so it doesn't quite. It's not curved or anything.
Sure.
But the thing is, it's like I'm already immersed in the story and I'm already immersed in what's happening. Yeah. So much so that extra bit actually made no difference to me. I was already just like, no, just tell me more about the story. No, just get me involved in this action part. So I think they did a really good job of making it work and making it really compelling as a film, at story level as well as at the action level.
Do you know what?
What they've done? Sorry, John. I'll just inject. Sorry, very quickly. Excuse me. What they've done is they've done what they. I think they've seen something like a Transformers, and they've said, right, we're not doing that. Where it's sort of like action scene, incoherent. Sort of ramble, no real story. So you're disjointed, you're disinfected from it as well. So with that, those films, it just gets like mumbled, after a while. They've been very careful in this to just use the effects and use that world as part of the story as well. Sorry, I'll just get in there.
No,
sorry, John.
I'm just thinking, looking at my local cinema, it's only on in like sort of the 3 o'clock performance now, so I'm probably going to lose a chance to see it at the cinema. But it looks to me like it will be a good. To be a good film to watch on your big 4K TV as well.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm obviously not the same as a wraparound cinema, but at least I can appreciate it in its colours and glory when it comes out on 4K. So
4K HDR will absolutely shine on this. So it'd be really good, and I think is well worth seeing also because there's lots of contrasting scenes. So like when you're in the water. it's obviously, there's a lot of blues. Surprisingly, a lot more color than I kind of expecting to see, but it worked really, really well. There's a scene that is, without giving too much away, in the desert. And that really pops. Like when you're watching it, you're just like, wow, this is really, really feels. And that's where the Raiders of the Lost Ark bit comes in, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right, and it's really sort of Uncharted style sort of thing.
A little bit, yeah. And then there's another part that's meant to be in Sicily, and it's kind of, so there's a lot of locations that they've included here, but they all supplement and support the storyline.
I think that's what worked with Wonder Woman, is the locations and the color and not being so dark. And I think that's probably what, in some cases, I know there are a lot of fans who like the darker films that DC do, but I think with the current world that we live in, people are looking for more color and more hope, aren't they? Maybe that's why these films do it better.
But
I mean, I think certain characters suit different means. So, there's a reason why Aquaman would suit this type. But I like Batman, for example. Like hands up, I
wouldn't work any other way.
Yeah. I like my dark and miserable. I like that. So I actually quite like that film. There are problems with it, but like Batman is better as a dark and as
Batman Ninja, which is very bright and colourful, variation of sort of designs and themes. But I know what you mean. You can't have Batman sort of tripping amongst the daisies, can you, in a meadow somewhere? It doesn't work.
No, this film also has Dolph Lundgren riding a seahorse as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
And if that's not a cause to go and see a film, I just don't know what is. So there we go. That's a big point. I'll just say now, boys, I have already just pre-ordered the 4K Blu-ray on Amazon.
Good job.
So, we should be salesmen, Alex. We could be salesmen. There we go.
To be honest, you probably haven't got that long to wait. You've probably got 2 months, 3 months. So it's kind of, and it's going to be one of those things that it's worth seeing in 4K. I think the main thing is, it's like, do I need to start getting a 4K TV?
Just Rackman.
I think you do. I had some gripes over the last few days on my Apple TV where it wasn't getting a very good speed on it compared to all my other devices, and so I've rewired it via my home plug, and it makes such a difference to the bit rate on 4K films. I've started rewatching all my films again in 4K, just appreciate them again.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about that, because mine, my setup is a bit more complicated. I have a wired setup. So generally, it does make a big difference. The main issue is that all of the DVDs that are ripped and Blu-rays I've ripped are all being ripped at 1080p. So then it becomes a question of, what do I do when I get 4K main screen?
It depends what you get. I have a Sony Bravia that does some really good job of upscaling 1080p content. Really good job.
I'm
the PlayStation 4 upscales as well, I think. So there are options there for you.
I think it's one of those things where the extra pixels on this kind of film are great. On a lot, and like a few others like Blade Runner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be many others where 1080p upscaled is perfectly sufficient.
I watched Labyrinth again recently. I bought the 4K. 4K edition of Labyrinth.
Oh wow! I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, and it holds up really well actually in 4K. I have to say, really well. You do tend to see a little bit more of the outlines, the matting images in the backgrounds and things, because that's in those days that you wouldn't see that. But I was surprised at how good Mary Poppins, the original film, looked, and also Chitty Bang Bang looked in upscaled HD as well. In fact, that was the most shocking. Watching Chitty Bang Bang, a film from the 60s, upscaled in 4K from with my TV look. It was hard to explain. It was surreal. I've never seen it like that before, in that quality.
I'll have to have a look at that. But we'll do TVs another day, because that's a much bigger topic. Yes,
we're going on a tangent here, aren't we, chap?
So it's totally worth seeing if you haven't seen it. and I think it is very much lighter rather than Wonder Woman. A bit like Wonder Woman rather than sort of
it's more
Justice
standalone,
League and Dark.
Which is a clever move financially, I think, for DC doing it that way.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that I think it just also suits Jason Momoa's character. I think his kind of his the way he plays Aquaman is a bit more carefree. And I think that actually helps. I think that helps a lot.
I mean, what it does as well, though, is that he does go for an arc in the film, doesn't he? So the way he is, I know you haven't seen Justice League, but he's very, I don't really give a shit. I like Justice League. I drink. I don't care what I do. And he's that character at the start.
Let's be fair, Mark. If you were Jason Momoa, that's how you'd be as well, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, let's be honest.
I'm like that, but I'm just not Jason
Momoa. There are a lot
Momoa.
of doors opening for you if you've got a torso like Jason Momoa, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Much like mine, to be honest. Much like mine. Folks, you can't see this because obviously it's audio, but
Thank God.
now, I can independently flex my left and right pectorals. And I'm doing through the camera right now.
I frequently just take
I can't get that image out of my mind now.
No. I frequently take a bottle of scotch to work and just drink it, like, and smash it on the floor as I go to work as well. Yeah. So but he does go through a night, doesn't he? Like he does that character at the start, but at the end he has learned and he's grown, and I like that as well. You know, like he isn't just that. Like he learns, he becomes more than what he is as well.
Passage, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, rite of passage. But but I like that. I just want to say just a couple of things as well before we wrap up. I just want to give shout out to performances. So I think most of the cast are actually all pretty good in this. I won't spoil anything, John, as well. But I do feel like I want to give a shout out to Patrick Wilson, who plays a bad guy in this. Is it? He's Prince Orma in this, also known as Ocean Master as well. And I'm a big Patrick Wilson fan. I think he's been a criminally underrated actor for a very long time and done some fantastic work. And considering he has to shout out, "I'm Ocean Master" in this, he actually do some hammy dialogue on this. Let's not pretend that there's not.
He's Night Owl in Watchmen, wasn't he?
Yes, he's Night Owl in Watchmen. Yeah, he also he's
understated role he played in it.
Yeah, he's also really great as a villain in I don't know if you guys have seen the A-Team movie that came out about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. He's Lynch, isn't he? In that?
He's Lynch in that, and he's great in that. He's a lovely guy. Like he does like a load of humanitarian stuff, not in real life. But my God, he can play a right bastard really, really well. And he's great as Lynch. He's so good in that A-Team. I'm sorry, like I'm diverting now. He's so good in that A-Team movie. You actually want him to win at the end as well. As much as I love the A-Team, I love BA and everyone. You actually want him to win because he's so good as a villain. But anyway, so Patrick Wilson I thought was really, really great in this. I thought he was, but they're all really good. I think Nicole Kidman plays a really good part. I think Willem Dafoe plays the mentor, doesn't he, as well? They're all pretty good, but I think Patrick Wilson's really, really great in this.
So, I don't want to give away the one of the villains' names because it'll spoil it.
Yes.
But I mean, I thought he was particularly well played,
and very comic accurate as well, which is even better as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I just because it's not a character that I kind of had seen much before, and then but by the end of the film, I was actually like, okay, I know I get this. I understand like his frustrations. I understand what drives him, you know, and obviously the part that's been played by the Atlanteans as well, which is an interesting one. But that's about all I can say without getting too spoilery. But no, I thought it was really good. So
we did like it.
Yeah. I thoroughly think it's worth watching.
My hope for this film, it's done brilliant. So it's done like $1 billion, and it's done really, really well. It's been really positive reviews. So my hope for it is that it's kind of re-energized DCU, because I really do think it's like it's had a rocky start, but I quite like Justice League. There are a million problems with that film, but the cast isn't a problem. There's a lot as the cast in that are actually good. I'd love to see them together again. They've got Wonder Woman 1984 that's being done at the moment. They've done Birds of Prey as well that's being made at the moment. So that's my overriding hope, is that as this has done so well, that they're going to persevere for that world. What do you think, Alex? Would you like to see more Justice League and more Henry Cavill as Superman? Or
so I think it makes me want to rewatch Justice League, and I think that's positive. I think, yeah, I do think it's hopefully put a bit of fresh blood, into this part of the universe. I do think it's needed. I think maybe it were weighed down a bit by The Dark Knight because of the standard that was set at.
Yeah,
and I think that's a challenge. And I think this kind of reframed it a bit, which is good. So I do think it's kind of exactly what DC needs. And they've set things up, so we'll see what happens following on from this. But I'd be surprised if there wasn't a Aquaman 2.
Yeah, I think they're going to put that in as well.
So yeah, worth watching, definitely.
So have we persuaded you, John?
Oh yeah, like I said, I've pre-ordered the UHD from Hamilton, so
woohoo!
It's coming my way when I watch it. Can I watch it with the kids, or is it too naughty?
No, kids is fine. It's fine with the
kids. They found Wonder Woman a bit scary, so I'll have to use it as my baseline, really.
I think it's comparable, but not for the same reasons. So I think
there's maybe a little bit at the start, maybe.
Yeah, this is a bit more actiony and a bit more fighty. It doesn't feel quite so scary. There's a couple of scary monsters, but then they're not on there for that long.
No, it
doesn't. So I think if you say it's kind of comparably, it's Wonder Woman level, and then see how you get on with it.
That's it.
Cool.
All right then. Okay, so that's 2 things we recommended. Does anybody want to talk about anything else or anything before we wrap up?
So, what have you seen over Christmas, over this break, that you want to share, even if other people haven't seen it?
So, just keeping the DC vibe going, is what this pod has done. I watched Titans that debuted on Netflix first week of January as well. So it's a more adult version of the Teen Titans. To reference Teen Titans earlier on, this is, imagine that, completely the opposite of that as well. This is very much an adult version of Titans that they've done as well. It's only 11 episodes, but it's actually really good. I saw the trailer for it. I think it debuted at Comic-Con last year, and I wasn't very hopeful for it. It looked a bit shit, if I'm honest. But I gave it a go. It's actually really, really good. And it's, well, if you want to get into this world more, then I really recommend it. It's got a lot of violence in it, so it's not for kids. It is definitely a violent series. There's a lot of blood and guts in it as well, which I was surprised, and a bit of bad language. So if you've ever wanted to see Batman's Robin swear and be a bit nasty and gory, then go for it. But I was generally surprised of how good it was. They're doing a second series at the moment, and Doom Patrol is coming out, who are also in this in one episode as well. So I was surprised how good it was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really into it. So that was really worth a watch.
Okay, that's cool. I watched, obviously, we'll probably talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in our podcast, but I also took the family to see Mary Poppins Returns.
Oh, was that good? I haven't seen that.
2 hours of unfettered joy and positivity and happiness with a mixture of bittersweetness. And it's just, I think they followed on the original film perfectly. It didn't disappoint at all. Shed a little tear. She came out the clouds, and my kids have basically been playing the album on loop in the house since we saw it. So yeah, that's just another one to watch if you're a fan of the original Mary Poppins, which we all are on my household. And
see, again, I've got a bit of a sticking point about.
Have you seen it?
Poppins 2? No, I haven't seen it, but there's a good reason for that, because over the Christmas period, my wife and my daughter and I were all in Panto, and So what happened was that we were trying to get people to come and see the Panto last few days, and
What was it?
Panto Dick Whittington.
Okay.
We were doing.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Oh yes, it was. It was great. No, anyway, we were doing that, but the thing is, we have a good friend of ours has a family of 8.
Oh, wow.
And so we were like, great, he can help.
That's 8 tickets. That's 8 tickets.
8 tickets. Yep. So we were like, great, he can help fill out this show. That'd be brilliant. And at the last minute, he said, yeah, sorry guys, the kids have chosen Mary Poppins 2. And I was not happy.
Sick burn.
And I know that it might have been a good film, but
that's how friendships end.
I felt a bit hurt, really.
Okay, well, you need some healing time before you watch it.
I do need some healing time, so I'm going to watch it on DVD. But
it's a good film.
But no, everyone that has seen it says it's really good fun, and the story.
Emily Blunt doesn't try and copy Julie Andrews. She makes the character her own. And then the other thing I watched, which brought me to tears as well, the finale especially, was season 3 of The Good Place, which is a Netflix series. Also, I think it's NBC if you're over in the States, but it is simply one of the best things I've seen on television in the last couple of years.
Is it a sitcom or what is it?
Yeah, well, yes, kind of. It's The Good Place is. If you haven't seen it, have you seen it?
Comedy. Yeah, I've seen it. So, well, I haven't seen the finale, so I'm up to
season 3 finale.
Yeah, I'm up to 10. I've got 2 to go.
I won't spoil it, but it's just it's such amazing writing for what it is. It essentially could be perceived as being quite a throwaway comedy, but it's actually it's Mark. So the premise is that a character played by Kristen Bell. The first episode, she wakes up in this office and she's met by Ted Danson, who says, "Hello there, Eleanor. Welcome to the good place. You've died. Welcome to the good place." And if I say any more than that, it will spoil the surprise.
Okay. But let's just say it. Let's just say that it doesn't go the way that she expects, and it's a lot of fast talking. A lot of quick humor.
Very well written. It's Michael Schur, the guy who did The American Office and Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so it's a lot of quick humor and lots of wacky things. And because you're obviously in the good place or heaven, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But what I'd say is it's actually really a fun comedy. It happens to be talking about a bit of death, but
with heart as well.
Yeah, so it's worth seeing, but very smart.
They also have a lot of philosophy in it. So if you like philosophy,
cool.
But philosophy for idiots, it's very well done. A lot of ethics.
That's perfect for me then.
My degree was in philosophy, so that's probably why I like it a lot. But really worth a watch. So that's me.
So.
And you two have been watching The Orville as well, haven't you, as well?
It's so good.
I haven't seen that as well. So much stuff I haven't seen.
So good.
We're gonna need to talk about The Orville.
Yeah,
properly.
Let me catch up on.
It's worth seeing.
I feel like I need to catch up on that, and then we can do a pod about it as well. So
we should.
I think I'm marginally more excited about the next episode of The Orville than I am of Discovery, actually.
Yes,
I've already seen an episode of that. I need to watch that as well.
I think we'll do the Star Trek and Orville combo. And
I think that's the next pod. There we go.
Compare and contrast. I think the ones that I watched over the Christmas period were on Netflix, Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah, I watched that. Did you get how many endings did you get? I got all the endings, all of them.
Oh, I haven't done that yet. That's the one you got to choose.
I don't know how I managed it.
I've done about 5 of them. The thing is, there was only a few that I missed, and the one that I missed was the 100%, the 5-star ending. I can never seem to get it, and I think I did a few loops, but I was doing it on my phone.
Did it work on your phone?
Yeah, it does work on your phone, but or at least it does on my Android phone. But it's not ideal. Yeah, it's not ideal. Not
if you do it on the PlayStation, Alex. If you do it on the PlayStation, the controller vibrates as you make the choices, which is quite cool.
that's scary. But it's the thing is, what I've done is we've trained everyone now that when all I need to do is just move my hands together like that when there's a decision point, and everyone gets nervous because that's the cue. That's obviously the cue when you start saying. It's totally worth seeing.
It's very well written, and although there are a few errors in the timeline in terms of what I noticed an Akira poster in the background, and the Akira poster Akira wasn't made in the time this was set, so that was quite interesting.
Yeah, well, also, there's a lot of Easter eggs for Black Mirror fans. So
yes, there are. Yeah.
If you
the
like
symbols, the symbols especially, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. So it's well worth seeing. The other one that I was going to see was Series of Unfortunate Events, series 3. So that's on Netflix as well, and is really good.
So watch it.
It's really good, and it's with what's his face, Neil Patrick Harris.
I like him.
It's worth seeing. There's 3 seasons to watch, but they're quite nicely done, and they're basically paired. So you watch 2 episodes. One, it sets things off, and then the next episode closes things down, and then it does the next one.
That's quite cool.
So it's definitely worth seeing. So I enjoyed that. We're going to talk about other films another time, I think, because we could be here all night. But I think that's pretty much it.
I will say, just to be controversial, I rewatched Solo again because it's on Sky now, and I rewatched it all weekend, and I still didn't like it.
I love that film. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I was sort of like, oh, maybe I can watch it because I saw it at the cinema once. I was just like, maybe watch it again, maybe I'll get into it, and I still can't stand it. Although I really like Donald Glover in it. I think he's brilliant as Lando. I think he's absolutely brilliant as Lando, but he's probably about the best bit in it. That and the train heist.
The train heist,
bits.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's about it.
If you like Lando, go and read the Marvel Lando comic series.
I might give that a go. Actually, I'm quite tempted.
Because that's quite cool. That's quite good.
Yeah. Right then, that's shot for this week. We will probably be back next week, providing that I can watch all of the Orville in about a week. I'll watch it on the train to work.
Give us a week or two, but
give us a week, and we'll
be back. We'll be back.
Okay. Hopefully, we're back soon. Take care. Be well, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, and before we go, don't forget you can see the Backwards compatible Twitter feed at Backwards.com if you want to go and see some links to reviews of Reign of Superman as well.
Yes, brought down a review of that.
Also, you can go to backwardscompatible.co.uk to see your reviews as well. I thought that would be worth getting those in at the end there.
Yes,
good call.
And Paul's done some audiobook reviews, I think, recently as well. So, yes, that's all in there for you to review. That's it. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.